Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pews and Brews, where we have a couple brews and do a gun review. I'm Not So Tactical Tim, and even though it's getting kind of cold up here in the Northeast, still looking to get out to the range and have some fun. You know, maybe not with the regularity as before, but if you saw from that Canic video that I just recently did about the parts that I added to that, I've really gotten into Steel Challenge. That's what I kind of built the Canic around doing. And the Steel Challenge has a bunch of different classes in it. One of the other classes that's in Steel Challenge is PCC, which is pistol caliber carbine, for those of you not familiar with the term. And it means exactly what it sounds like. It's a full-size carbine rifle, except in a pistol caliber. This one's in 9mm because my Canic's 9mm. That way you can share the ammo. Most of these that you see are in 9mm, mainly for that reason, because a lot of guys shoot 9mm in competition if they're shooting pistol and rifle. So put this together in 9mm for obvious reasons. And yes, in the description it says budget build, and I don't like to really harp on that term. I guess probably the best way to say it is let's say a financially responsible build, which means you're not necessarily using the cheapest components, but you're also not going out and buying a Lead Star or something like that competition PCC rifle that's going to cost you $2,500 to buy. If you want to do that, great. I'm one of those people that I would rather take that $2,500 and instead of buying one rifle, I'd rather have three. Because honestly, I like doing it for fun, the competitions, so I don't ever plan on being a grandmaster or a world champion or anything like that. So, like I've said before, it's just like golf. You give a crappy golfer the best set of golf clubs in the world, guess what? He's still going to be a crappy golfer. You give a pro golfer a lousy set of golf clubs, he's still going to be probably the best guy on the course that day if you're just out with your buddies. So, same thing applies to this. It's going to be a build using really nice components, but being able to be built for a reasonable price. All these components that I'm going to show you today are what a lot of the guys use that shoot competition, but we're going to source them out separately rather than just walking into a store somewhere and saying, yeah, give me that $2,500 competition gun. If you can do it for $800, that's a pretty substantial saving. So I'm going to take a look at everything that I put into this. We'll get it out to the range. We'll put some rounds through it, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. So stick around. I'm going to quickly go over the parts that I use to put this together. There's a ton of stuff out there, so you can look around, you can compare prices. This has just happened to be what I got. We're going to start off here with the lower receiver. This is 9mm specific. They do make adapters that you can put in a standard AR-15, but I opted for a true 9mm lower. Some of the main differences are you'll see the ejector is built into it here, and it has a much longer magazine release just due to the fact the notch in the magazines are up front. This uses the Glock magazines, so the magazine well is set up for the Glock mags. It's a one-piece trigger guard. Other than that, very similar to a standard AR-15 lower. I do have the bolt catch on here. It does function, but not as a last round hold open because the magazine doesn't activate it, but it does function as the bolt hold open if you do it manually. The trigger that I used, you'll see it's kind of gold in there. The body of it is a Rise Armament. Now this is their SA-140 series, I believe. It does have the anti-walk pins with screws on either side. Real nice trigger. They're inexpensive. They're like 99 bucks. It drops the trigger pull down to 3.5 pounds, which for what we're doing, we're not bullseye shooting or long distance shooting. So 3.5 pounds is more than adequate. Gives you a nice crisp pull on it. And a real nice little trigger. Haven't had any kind of light strikes or anything like that with it. So this has been working really well for me. Just a standard mil-spec buffer tube. The buttstock on here is an SBA-3, which is a pistol brace. The reason I like these is because they're very minimalist. There's not a lot of extra stuff on them. And they do have a bit of a cheek flare on here, which I kind of like. It allows me to get a more consistent cheek hold on here or cheek placement on here when I bring it up from the low ready position. So I do kind of like these for that reason, as well as their minimalist design. All in all, everything on the lower itself was about 125 bucks. Just a regular Magpul grip on here. These are inexpensive. They're like 15 or 20 bucks. The SBA 3 is about 100 bucks, as is the Rise trigger. So all in all, in the lower, we got about 3.5, let's say. The charging handle is an ambidextrous handle. Two reasons for that. Number one is I like that it has a little bit wider than stock, grip, and as well as being ambidextrous, so that you can, doesn't matter which side you pull from, you're still going to be able to unlatch it and cycle it back if you need to quickly clear a jam or something like that. The bolt is another 9mm specific piece. This is a Faxon. The Faxon bolts are probably about the #1 name in 9mm bolts when it comes to just tried and true, works every time type of a bolt. These are about 150 bucks, so they are a little on the expensive side, but there again, even though this is a financially responsible build, we still want to use some real quality parts in it. One thing you'll notice, when these come from the factory, they have a weight in here that's held in with a big roll pin. That had to be removed, which is actually nice because you're removing some weight, but because of the buffer that I got. This is an Arma spec. There's a lot of different buffer systems out there. I like these captured ones because this is the whole unit. There's nothing else you need. You don't even actually need to have your retaining pin for your buffer tube in there. These just slide in. You don't need spacers or anything like that. They just slide in. You're ready to go. The reason that weight was removed from the back of the bolt is because when these cycle, that rod needs to be able to get into the back of the bolt. So that's the reason for removing that. And that also took some weight off of the bolt. So another nice little upgrade you can put on. The handguard here, it's just one that I happen to have sitting around. It's pretty extremely milled out, as you can see, so it's very lightweight. There's a lot of different handguards you can get. You can get carbon fiber tube styles, you can get aluminum tube styles, or just a standard, M-LOK style like this. Like I said, this one I had laying around, but you can pick these up, just plain standard ones, for about 50 or 60 bucks. The upper receiver is essentially pretty much a mil-spec upper, with the exception of this opening here. Obviously it doesn't have a dust cover on it, but it's also milled out a little bit more than a mil-spec upper, just to give that fatter 9mm case enough room to clear consistently without getting any kind of jams or stovepipes in it. The barrel is a TACOM Super Feed. This barrel only weighs 11 ounces, so we were able to remove a ton of weight from the front of this gun by getting this barrel. This barrel is about 150 bucks. And the reason they can make it so lightweight is because it only has about 5.5 inches of true rifling in it. The rest of this is essentially just a shroud, which makes it the full 16-inch. It is a full legal 16-inch barrel. This is not a short barrel. It just only has a short amount of rifling in it to help reduce the weight. Because of the ranges we're shooting at being so close, maximum is like 35 yards, you don't really need a full-length barrel because your ranges are going to be close enough that even a 5.5-inch barrel is going to be plenty accurate for what we're doing. The sight, I'm not really going to include in the cost of this. This is a Seymour Railway. A lot of the guys were using these, and I decided to pick one up and try it out. These are about 250 bucks. But I'll tell you what, they're a fantastic sight for this. Even though they look a little big, they're very lightweight. This is all polymer, with the exception of where it attaches to the upper. And they're just built like a tank. They have a real big picture window that's easy to see. I'll probably do a separate review on this because I really like these sights. But like I said, everybody has their preference on optics, so I'm not even going to include this in the price of the build. But everything all together, you're looking at, like 150 for the barrel, 50 for the upper receiver, about 350 for this whole lower, the way I have it set up, 80 for the buffer, 150 for the bolt, and about 30 bucks for the charging handle. And like I said, you can pick up I happen to have this one, but you can pick up a handguard for 50 or 60 bucks. So really for under 800 bucks, probably about 750, you can put together a true competition ready gun. So now let's get it out to the range and put some rounds through it and see how well it runs. Okay, we're going to run a few through this at some plates here. I'm going to do a little bit of time just to get an idea of the kind of recoil we're looking at. You can kind of see through the video how much kick it's given. Oddly enough, even though it's a lighter barrel, the recoil isn't nearly as bad because you're not pushing as much weight back into your shoulder. So let's give it a look. Okay, now we're just going to pull the trigger as fast as we can, see how reliable it is at the highest speed we can go. As you saw, extremely reliable, everything fed right through it, so looks like we're good to go. All right, as you can see, it's pretty low recoil for everything. There really isn't a whole lot of kick to this, especially with the shorter rifling in it. You're not getting, even though it's lighter weight, you're not getting that full blowback of the barrel. So it's a lot less weight being pushed back into you, which equates to less reduced recoil, or felt recoil anyway. So, you know, everything runs really good with it. The sight is great, so we're going to take it and go back, probably grab a brew, and wrap up this review. Back from the range, and time to do our favorite part of the video, grab a brew and wrap up this review. Now, I'll tell you what, if you've never shot one of these little PCCs, man, they're a ton of fun. And there's also a bunch of advantages to them when you're out at the range. Number one, obviously you don't have the expense of the 223 ammo or 300 blackout or whatever rifle caliber you're using. The 9mm is going to be much less expensive to shoot. The other big advantage to having it in 9mm is if, like my range, your range has steel that's set up all the time, whether it's, you know, hanging torso plates or like the plate rack like I showed in the video, you know, the little poppers and all that. Most clubs are not going to let you shoot a rifle caliber at their steel. With a pistol caliber, not a problem, because that's what they're actually made for. So that's another thing, that if you have a club with a lot of steel like that, you can go out there, plink around at the steel rather than just punching holes in paper, and really have a good time with it. Now, like I said, I set this up for Steel Challenge competition, but even just going out and plinking around and having fun, I really wish I'd have gone this way the first time. I originally gotten just a regular 9mm barreled upper with it had a big chunky handguard on it, the full length heavy barrel on it, and this lower, I believe, I don't know if I mentioned it before, is a New Frontier, but there's a lot of companies out there that make them. Aero Precision actually makes a really nice lower and upper receiver set for like $275. I was just on today and saw they had them in stock. The sight, that kind of thing, that's going to be up to you. But as far as the gun goes, I really kind of wish I had gone this way with the lightweight barrel and the lighter weight handguard to begin with, because as it turns out, having that lighter weight is really not a detriment at all. And as a matter of fact, it makes the gun a lot more fun. It's a lot lighter. It's a lot easier to whip around. So, that really wasn't something that I was thinking about when I originally put it together. But now that I did this one for Steel Challenge, I really wish I had gone this way to begin with. So, if you're looking for a project to do or something new to put together, think about putting together one of these lightweight, PCCs. But I'll tell you what, they're a ton of fun. They're cheaper shooting. You can shoot at way more targets. And if you have a wife or a girlfriend, there's not much recoil. You can maybe get them out there to shoot a little bit and just go out and have a fun day at the range. So that'll pretty much wrap it up from us here at the Not So Tactical Tavern. Till next time, get out there and do something useful with yourself, like put together a PCC. Then get out there and get pewing. We'll see you. All right, time to go put you away and get to business.